Alright. So welcome to Weekly Endeavours Part 2. I'm going to try and do a thing here where I put up some images, because obviously this is kind of just a really boring background. We will see if it works. If there's nothing here, then obviously I've failed. This is just a recap of the week of what I've been putting my eyes into. And at the moment I've just got 3 topics: grassroots venues, Superbowl versus League of Legends World Tournament, tech's fast break into gaming and how they're communicating with each other. I'll start off with grassroots venues. I'm not going to spend too long on this one because I think that it's quite speculative. Ben Lovett from Mumford and Sons is opening a music venue called Lafayette, I think it's right, in King's Cross, which is essentially the home to new music. It's got PRS, Google, Facebook, Universal. It's also got Eurostar, so it's got direct international links and stuff. It seems the perfect place to optimally build where cultures can cross of tech, music, international. Seems to be very built for purpose. Now, I'm a big fan of grassroots venues because you can't just get an artist to suddenly appear and be this amazing performer without having had the experience of performing before. They've got to spend some time adding to their narrative by playing these shows and gaining experience and getting more comfortable, and they need to be protected. However, there's a couple of things that I wanted to raise, just to play devil's advocate really. If today's artists are marketing digitally, do surviving venues need to do the same thing? What can these venues do inside of the digital world without taking a hit to their heritage or selling out? I think that every brand can have somewhere to exist, or do they need to continue lowering their overheads to sustain it? It'd be interesting to see what happens next. Okay, so I'm going to try and quickfire this one. This is Superbowl versus League of Legends World 2019. I'm just going to relay some facts. Total earnings in that case for all players is 6.5 million for League of Legends, and it's 15.3 on average for the Super Bowl. Stadium cap for the actual event itself: League of Legends 45k, Super Bowl 65k. Key sponsors: League of Legends, MasterCard, Louis Vuitton, Nike. Super Bowl is Pepsi, Budweiser, Coca-Cola. Revenue: I couldn't find the revenue for League of Legends, and I'm not sure why that isn't available online, but total revenue that Super Bowl earned in just what it is was 1.39 billion. Just for reference, League of Legends revenue was 1.5 billion for the year, for the whole year, in everything that they did. So that goes to show the size of Super Bowl. The most interesting fact that draws the two together, they both had around about 100 million worldwide viewers, so the attention is equal. And that to me is the key point of me drawing these two things together. Sponsors: Louis Vuitton, really interesting sponsor, contextually just makes a lot of sense, and they also did skin packs for some of the characters as well, which I think that there's total room for some high-end DLC for sure. For the Super Bowl you had Pepsi, Budweiser, Coca-Cola, massive companies that work well with the culture, very safe, very trusted. Both of these tournaments had augmented reality in their own space, and I think that it was a little bit easier to adopt with the gaming world because a lot of the content that's created for the game itself is actually already there and already has an IP and a presence and a brand. So then you can incorporate that within the creative performances or visuals, for example. But the potential for both of them are limitless, totally limitless. I would love to see how augmented reality works with the Super Bowl in the future, and if they're willing to do in-game augmented reality. Just as a comparison, Super Bowl's overall effect on the worldwide community, and that includes everything from all parties held, all distance travelled, all the drinks bought, all the sponsorship, the merch bought per person, accommodation, transport. It generated worldwide 17 billions worth of spending. That's crazy. So let's zoom out. The revenue is just totally different for the same amount of attention. Is TV advertising or the traditional advertising overvalued, or is the gaming world undervalued? So for creators, as much as your art exists, you will inevitably be affected by other things that gain attention. So, for example, TikTok draws attention, Instagram did draw attention, and these are platforms, but in the real world, events also draw attention too. If you can naturally get involved with these, however that works with your campaign or your art or your character or your brand, I would highly recommend doing so, because it's a community of which they can unify with a topic. So how can we monetize our presence within these events? So we can make bespoke merch specifically for your brand with the event, for example, providing that you don't go over any copyright issues there. Appropriate sponsors, if that works for you, or either smaller events. Premium content for lead-ups. If you're a content producer and you're particularly excited about an event, you can join that community by creating that. Packages, whether or not you want to mix in merch bundles with event bundles or premium subscriptions for certain periods of time over events, for example. So what can we learn in the perspective of being an artist or a performer from the Super Bowl and the League of Legends World Tour? You're doing the right creative venture that works for your particular audience, and then grow them from there and grow that community, and use these events and use these new platforms that are gaining attention to grow yourself and transcend just an Instagram page. You want to be so much more than that. You want to be an actual name that travels within all of these things and moves through time. And I think that hoping that traditional media that's going to give you that attention is only going to hit a certain demographic now, or at least will in the future. But then on the other hand, you got 100 million people looking at the League of Legends. Is online gaming content becoming saturated already? I mean, I've seen a lot of streamers that are struggling to find traction, a lot of guides that are coming up online on how to work those in. The only thing I can say on that is original content that's building narrative, that is present in the current time, but is diverse in its ideas and its progression, would be a rewarded direction for streamers. I mean, just to backtrack, the Super Bowl, J-Lo and Shakira, I mean, massive. J-Lo and Shakira was perfect for the Super Bowl because of the brand that the halftime show has and the demographic of the people that are watching it. At the same time, League of Legends, True Damage put on an incredible performance. And again, if I haven't said this before, I highly recommend just YouTubing that performance. They smashed it out of the park. So, tech's fast break into gaming. Again, I don't think it's too much I can really say on this one. So let's go over the timeline. So Xbox announced that they think the tech company is going to be their main competitor. If we look at the idea of how gaming companies used to work back in the day, they would own the hardware, so you would buy the console, you would be able to play the games because they own the IP and the characters and the games itself. If they want to get online, they own the subscription service as well, PS Plus, Xbox Live, etc. The current model that this is turned into at the moment is that games are free and you can buy more stuff inside of that game. And let's hop back to technology. So technology's goal is to let anyone access anything from anywhere instantly. But how can you have the power of a console travel with you all the time? The problem is that these gaming companies, it costs them a lot of money to make a console. It's almost a loss leader. They only barely break even with the amount of graphics that have to go inside of them. So instead, a solution to this would be to ask the tech companies to host the processing of the game. And when we have things like 5G that are just around the corner, we can just use a simple interface that connects, that doesn't need to have all this hardwired processing that drains your battery and needs like updating all the time, it could break and worth a lot of money, etc. And it's a huge barrier for people getting access to the software. Instead, you make access cheap as possible, but making the games free, for example, or you make it as ergonomic as possible for the user to get access to the game, and that's what the gaming companies should really care about right now. So if they're having their hardware removed from them, which they didn't want anyway because it's expensive, they need to understand that whoever they're bringing in, which is the tech companies, is actually going to end up being a competitor for them because they're controlling quite a bit of the market. So gaming companies' focus today is to create more creative content, to make the most out of their IP, to upsell, to create a really indulgent experience, and accelerate off the community. And the community is you guys. So apart from that, thank you very much for tuning in. So I really hope this worked, or whatever this is. I don't know, tune in on the Insta, on the Twitter, on the Facebook, on the LinkedIn as well, as where I posted the main article of my breakdowns. Just anything you think I should cover, let me know. Apart from that, thank you very much for checking it out, and I'll speak to you guys soon.